Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review of Frieren Season 1 on Netflix. And I really enjoyed this. Even though I had some kind of issues with it going forward, mainly as we kind of got into this kind of mage kind of ranking thing that kind of turned into kind of a tournament arc, I still really much enjoyed it. Pretty much on the level that I had with Violet Evergarden. So I was like, yes, this has 28 episodes in it, and it it didn't get me as much emotionally, like holy fucking shit, like I'm crying at this kind of thing or whatnot, but in what it was able to accomplish, like Violet Evergarden, with the whole kind of premise of the elf Frieren, this mage that had adventured with this party for 10 years to defeat the Demon King, Himmel the hero, Heiter the kind of cleric, and Eisen. Eisen? Yes, Eisen. They're kind of frontliner. And seeing them kind of go through all this kind of stuff and then eventually getting to the deaths of that kind of main party, as Frieren has lived for like about like 1,000 years as we're going through this series. But just that exploration of how long she's lived and what she's kind of gone through is really well done and executed, where you really get the kind of character developments and moments and kind of learning and seeing her change as we shift forward as she's kind of retracing her steps throughout this season and exploring with her new kind of party while reminiscing about her old party and how they've changed her from then to now, and her being kind of more open and thinking about more about people from as she's learned from Himmel the hero and everything, and learning that Himmel the hero, while having an interesting legend, was more than just that. So they adventured for 10 years, and then it was about like 80 years after that, and we lose Himmel the hero. Seeing her cry at his funeral is nuts, and then just kind of going around and collecting magic and having the passion for magic with that. And also looking for any kind of grimoire connected with Flamma, who was her teacher, and learning that as the series goes on, and seeing that like a lot of stuff's attributed to that mage, but really isn't. It's kind of a crazy kind of thing, and learning that she's going after spells that a lot of people wouldn't deem useful, like creating flowers in a certain kind of place, as she was able to spread like Himmel's like this really special flower around Himmel's statue. And it's kind of funny. He did all all these great kind of things and helping all these people out, but he still had kind of flaws that he would pose for like 18 hours for a statue. Frieren also has kind of issues like that, always falling for like mimic chess, being like, "There's a grimoire in there," and then she's like getting pretty much eaten with it. But seeing her go through and get to Heiter as he's like afraid of dying because he's pretty much taking care of this charge of Fern. And Fern wants to be this mage because Heiter helped her, and she wants to provide that kind of help back. With Heiter pretty much tasking Frieren of trying to find like life extending kind of stuff in this grimoire and everything, but pretty much actually using it to have her stay there to see and take care of Fern, and her being able to eventually get and blast a hole through this rock. But then Heiter does die, and Frieren does decide to take her on as her apprentice. And seeing her grow up and get older, and then start adventuring with Frieren and having to wake her up, and her not being a morning person and spending months because she has a different kind of time frame than us. She could spend years, decades in a certain kind of place just doing that shit because she can. That's like me spending 10 minutes at a comic book shop or whatnot, perusing it for comics or whatnot. And that's like, oh yeah, I'm just going to spend 10 years in this place doing this kind of shit. And Fern trying to be like, come on, there's got to be some kind of urgency for what you're doing, or being like going to other kind of places. And a really kind of nice one is that when Frieren decides to pretty much find birthday presents and everything for like Fern and trying to figure out what's going on, and Fern sneaking around behind being like, "What are you doing?" and finding a place for really good desserts, and because she'd spent saved up to spend for that kind of thing is really kind of nice. They're able to hit real nice emotional moments that aren't like, "Oh God, I'm fucking gonna like cry my fucking eyes out," but really nice ones of just seeing characters understanding and growing. Frieren really much so, because you're like, oh, she really doesn't seem, she seems very cold and detached or whatnot, but she just does social interactions differently. It's not wrong, but the cues that people deem as normal don't come as naturally to her, and it was mainly Himmel the hero and Heiter and Eisen and her adventures with them that kind of changed her enough to kind of do these kind of things, because she really wasn't into doing things with them, and she understands that kind of mistake, that she shouldn't have spent that long away from the party as her friends, but because of how long elves live and the kind of things that go on with that. Because we get into the backstory that Flamma found her, that like demons had like ravaged her village. She was like one of the only survivors, and she really doesn't see that much in see that many elves. And we learned that Flamma was taught by an elf as well. Probably gonna butcher. Cien. Wait, no. Cien's the other cleric dude. No. Sari. And just like having all this kind of stuff, Flamma wanted to make this whole kind of mage association and able to do it. That's where you get your first class mages and everything like that. So they're pretty much just like going through and kind of just walking about a little bit before Frieren pretty much gets into her head to go to. Well, she was pretty much honoring her master, pretty much, and pretty much got turned on to one of the things that Flamma had found out. That around the area of Demon King's castle, there's this land where she was able to converse with spirits of lost companions. And that gets into Frieren's head to retrace her steps for her quest, pretty much going to the Demon King's castle, taking Fern, trying to find Eisen's apprentice Stark, and learning his kind of similarities with the hero Himmel, and learning about the hero sword, kind of similar to like Excalibur and the Master Sword, that Himmel was unable to utilize it and pull it from the stone. That was a cool kind of reveal. It's like, oh God. And him not being what everybody kind of paints him as, but being kind of even better than that to a degree, because him and his party were still able to defeat the Demon King. Well, that we know of at this point. Because we see that things are not always as the legends assume. There was this one demon that they were fighting, a Qual. He was one that pretty much had done this kind of unblockable attack. I'm probably mispronouncing that. Qual. Yeah, Zoltract. And seeing how 80 years had advanced, he becomes unsealed because at that point, Frieren and her companions couldn't defeat him and decided to seal him instead. And they just like wiped his ass out after that. But seeing them kind of going through and start being this uber powerful dude, but he's really like afraid and cowardly, and then him being able to defeat a dragon. He was afraid. He's got this scar because his master had like punched him. It's mainly because his body reacted Eisen. He wasn't really angry or anything with him. It's just the powerful potential that Stark has. And I'm like, okay, I'm empathizing with you on that. Then they get to a place where they actually need a cleric, Cien, like the guerrilla warrior, him and the goatee priest. They kind of named themselves after that, so they had memorable names because there's this statue of this goatee priest and this warrior. and they kind of wanted to do that. And it's like, okay, how are they gonna like fill this out party wise? And we see this dude that pretty much stayed in his village because their parents had died and his brother had sacrificed so much for him. And I really fucking got that for him, where you like put off your own shit and you just keep doing that for years, decades even, and he just stays there even though he wants to find and be an adventurer with Guerrilla Warrior. And it's awesome when they start going off and trying to find that dude. But the thing is, Frieren needs to go and get her, or Fern needs to get certified as a first class mage, and he's going to find more tracks of the Guerrilla Warrior. So they do split off at that point. So it'll be interesting to see if he pops back in, and that's where it kind of diverges to doing the kind of tournament kind of thing. They do allow Frieren to go in to this whole kind of mage exam thing. This to me felt more kind of like a diversion when I'm watching it. Now that I'm talking about it, it's interesting to see how this mage society works out, what they are attempting to do to say what are good for first class mages and everything. What is Ceres? Gotta go back down. Cien and Ceres is like, shit, man. And Stark helping out the one dude who his son had died, and that was horrible. Sari, yes. And the different kind of like things going on with being in that mage class. I'm like, okay, because I kind of liked it was more kind of slice of life. There was action in there, and the action scenes are very beautifully done. The animation on this is amazing. It's great when it's serious. I love the comedic moments. It's a nice balance. It's not a whiplash of, oh, we're fighting and everything, and then just like anime titties out of nowhere, or a tsundere just beating on holy fucking shit out of shit. It's like, oh my god, yeah, Fern might like have a temper tantrum or whatnot, but it's not like tsundere kundere just, I'm gonna fucking like do some crazy ass shit and everything like that. It's like, no, it balances. There's ebbs and flows, and it's executed very well in my opinion. If you don't agree, it's quite alright. Yeah, that's fine. But I liked how they were able to do it, and I'm like, okay, like seeing Fern dealing with that and being angry, but then they worked their problems out like adults. Like, there might be certain kind of childish things, and someone might call something childish, but I do like that they're able to talk out and do actions to help rectify these situations. I would pretty much almost hold this up and be like, listen, this, please, is what we need to do. If we've got problems with each other, we need to talk them out. That's one of the great kind of things about this show, of expressing yourself. Now, that doesn't mean you take someone and unload venom, bile, and bullshit on them, just like, kind of like Gumball. But, no, you don't do that. You talk and you say things that are important to people while they're there. That is a very big kind of lesson of this, because of Frieren losing that for Himmel and Heiter, and attempting to do that with like Eisen and Fern and Stark. And it's an adjustment for her, because she's pretty much been by herself a lot, been with her master, and just doing her own kind of stuff with Flamma. It's funny because Siri auto fails Frieren, but because her favorite spell is the flowers and everything. And Fern was pretty much auto pass because she was able to see the fluctuations in Siri's mana. Because a big kind of thing is that Frieren was pretty much trained to always pretty much hide her mana constantly because of what demons can do. And demons are very interesting here. It's showcased that they pretty much are monsters that have pretty much learned human speech to pretty much deceive them and kill them and do general kind of chaos and mayhem. That's an interesting kind of take, because more along the lines of what's been going on nowadays is kind of more of a balancing of like, are they infernal creatures? What do they usually do? What are their objectives? This deals with, if you killed the demons, they turn into mana particles or whatnot, and that became a problem because there was a demon delegation that was attempting to like do this thing of get into this town, and they were of course doing bullshit, but they were making all the right kind of sayings and whatnot. Frieren was actually locked up because she was pretty much getting ready to attack one of them, and then one of them came into the cell and tried to kill her, but she pretty much took his ass out, but he of course disintegrated, and he'd already called a guard to get in there. It's like, that's a fucked up situation. And her hiding in mana helped her really take out this demon, because this demon was utilizing these scales, and whoever had the higher mana would subjugate the other one. And she overcalculated and was like, I got the bigger one. Frieren lets her shit out, and pretty much she then orders the demon to kill herself. It's like, yep, you gotta have to watch that shit. Now, the tournament kind of aspect I did like in learning more about these other kind of characters, expanding out. Because at first I was like, I kind of want the slice of life, them kind of doing their journeying, some action here or there, kind of similar to Violet Evergarden. And we still continue that there, but it's more of an expanding of the world and the characters and what's kind of going on with this kind of mage exam, how Sari is kind of running this, and how she would gift a spell or whatnot to these new first-class mages. Fern picking one to pretty much get rid of and auto-clean clothes was just great and really tied into Frieren's kind of teachings. He's like, yes, you've learned well from me. So they pretty much needed that to get into the Demon Kings to continue on forward. And it's funny because most of the time we have seen that up until this point, most of the mages were out for themselves and would be fighting amongst themselves. But when we see Frieren and Fern, and also this other Denkin, they start kind of working together. We mainly see this in the second one, the second kind of trial, because the first one they had to capture this bird, and they were in teams of 3. And it was interesting to see the different kind of dynamics. Frieren was with these 2 other mages, one that could deal with water, one that could deal with freezing. And they're kind of just fighting and clashing together. Denkin, of course, being an older one and having more kind of political clout and power, him trying to get to first-class mage status to go further north to the grave of his wife. And seeing them kind of just parse out more of these kind of characters and having their own kind of motivations worked. They don't feel like just cardboard cutouts are just like, okay, here's design 1, fight demon dude kind of shit. Design 2, there's that crazy, nutty kind of one that is just like, I'm gonna kill people and take their kind of shit and everything. It's like, what the fuck is up with you? And she doesn't get failed. She's like, oh yeah, I'm thinking of how I could kill your ass, Sari. So, alright, you bass. Go. Because she's lived for so long and is so powerful that normally people don't really do that much. But, of course, Fern is able to pass, and it'll be interesting to see how these other kind of characters kind of seed throughout, what we kind of learn more about this world. And the most important part for me is the anchoring of Frieren, Fern, and Stark. Learning and growing. Stark going eventually, that people are kind of gloaming onto him, kind of similar to Himmel the Hero. Even when he was introduced, he supposedly scared this dragon away, and he's like, I can't take credit for that. I'm just afraid of it. And then working together with Frieren and Fern and killing the dragon. And then seeing as we get towards the end of this town where people like him and are sad to see him kind of go, kind of similar to Himmel the Hero. And it's like, alright, let's see what goes on with this. And never mind the fact that my favorite color is red and his hair color is red and everything like that. That doesn't really... That's an added bonus for me. That's icing on the cake. He's this dude that really starts coming into his own. Fern coming into her own as well as a mage, where she starts off pretty much just trying to blast a hole in a rock and prove to Hyder that he didn't make a mistake in raising her, and that she could take care of herself and could provide for herself and everything, to being able to do all these kind of magic attacks and just being a powerful mage in her own right, And I kind of get the feeling that even though she's learned a lot of stuff from Frieren, and has some certain kind of mannerisms, that we'll see her kind of delving into her own kind of things. Let's see. We also get that Fern was upset because during the second trial, her staff was broken, and Frieren had told her that maybe she should just buy a new one. But of course, it has so much sentimental value to her that Frieren had decided pretty much to go on and get it fixed by the one dude that got taken out during the second trial, and them kind of patching it up like that was very nice. I understand. It's very understandable why she was upset. But, of course, them coming together is, really nice. And the thing is, Sari tried to pretty much lure Fern away from Frieren. But, of course, she's like, nah, Frieren's my master. And it pretty much ends with them getting ready to continue their journey to the Demon King's castle, pretty much, place of power to reunite Frieren and Himmel. So we'll see how that kind of goes. I like this because I like it how it explores talking to people, long timelines, trying to keep together with people, what friendship means, family means, how hard it is to kind of convey those things to people, and how time for certain people is indeterminable and is a long ass time, and then the other it's a quick kind of thing, and then you're fucking dead. It's all in frame of reference and perspective. Like finding the one dude that was protecting the village. He'd fallen in love with a human, and that he was just continuing to protect it, even though she had long ago died. And he was kind of losing kind of memories and everything, but Frieren was able to kind of awaken them in him. He's like, yeah, I dreamt of her face, even though I hadn't seen it in a while. It's it really is cool how they were able to explore this. Because if it wasn't executed as well as it is, I don't think it would have worked as well. They're able to balance it, and that's a key kind of thing here. The balance. The serious moments are given time to sit there and ruminate and learn from it. And then the comedy doesn't overshadow it. It complements it sometimes. Or does its own kind of thing, depending upon what's going on with the comedy. That is a hard thing to do. And normally, you just see it kind of facilitate back and forth like, oh God. But that doesn't happen here. And I'm really interested to see where this goes. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. It definitely ranks up there with me for Violet Evergarden. For exploring that kind of stuff, because that's a similar kind of one, exploring emotions and understanding who you are and your past and coming to terms with it, and also having some action and stuff in a really interesting world and lore. This does that too, and I love it exploring that way through an adventurous party in a fantasy setting. It's cool. It's like a D&D campaign kind of thing. I'm looking at that and seeing what happens after the D&D party's done, and what goes on with that. Yeah, so I would definitely recommend this. I mean, it deals with crazy ass shit. There's blood. One of the demons that Fern fights utilizes blood and everything like that. I mean, suicide. There's a lot of heavy stuff to deal with, so make sure that you're alright with that. And if it sounds crazy to you, it's quite alright to not watch it. Know what shit is that makes you uncomfortable and really kind of fucks with you. Don't go for that. You know what I mean? Respect your boundaries. Even though I think this is good and awesome, I don't want people to get freaked out over shit. Do you do? But I really enjoyed this. So those are my opinions on the anime on season 1. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.